I'm Knight.
My name is Toby Rudolf.
I don't know what I'm doing.
What are we doing?
We are stuck in the middle.
A Stuck in the Middle podcast, it's the shit.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
You're an idiot for not watching it.
Welcome back to another podcast. Stuck in the Middle with my good friend Tobias Eric Rudolf and our newest, latest, best guest, Andrew something Morello.
Marcello.
Marcello Morello.
Yeah, Andrew Marcello Morello.
Business
That's
investor.
the GR, eh?
Yeah, it's not a GR.
That's mad.
It was my grandfather's name. I
That's a
never
great
met him.
that's a great name. It just seems like it's fake.
I actually thought of an intro. I want to try and do it.
Okay.
I could fully fuck it up, so I'll see how I
Go,
go.
give it a crack.
We have here none other than businessman, leader of the entourage, property developer, wealthiest man of all time that when his wallet is still gone and missing all the time, Andrew Marcello Morello.
Hey, from downtown.
From where are you from again?
Moonee Ponds.
Moonee Ponds.
Come on, bro.
So I was battling for Moonee Ponds trying to better
Simple
his
boy
life.
from Moonee Ponds just trying to get ahead in life.
Trying to get ahead in life. How are you going with that? Are you ahead in life?
Yeah, I'm getting lots of ahead.
Probably lots of ahead, lots of heads.
Yeah, just heading in the right direction.
Plenty of heads in front.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like a horse racing thing.
Bums in seats.
How many
in
heads
front.
of
You're on
ahead?
the
How
nod.
many heads ahead are you?
You're on the nod.
I'm on the nod.
Retired. Andy, I want to ask you about your early life. I remember having a discussion with you about, do you remember that story about that guy who was an AFL footballer, really hot in school?
Yep.
And he said it was something along the lines of, all the chicks only speak to you because you do all the parties and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
you said back to him, well, you get chicks because you're hot. Can you tell me that? Remember the story I'm talking about?
I do. So we're on
Let's
the
go into that, yeah.
We're on a school bus. So I went to an all boys school in Essendon, which was called St Bernard's.
Yeah,
I actually had my
Melbourne, obviously.
20 year anniversary a couple of weeks ago. Went back to the hood to go see everyone after 20 years.
How is the hood?
The hood's good. It's not a hood anymore. It's like
Wait,
a lot of rich people now.
gentrified?
It's gentrified.
Is Essendon the hood?
Essendon, yeah. So Essendon,
Was the hood, yeah.
So Moonee Valley, and then the capital of Moonee Valley is Essendon, and Moonee Ponds is next door.
Moonee Ponds is just the little brother.
It's the little brother. It's the little brother. Correct.
butler.
Correct. And my brother lives in Essendon now, and my house is in Moonee Ponds. So it's ironic that you say that. So it's like the little brother does live there. And I still remember we're all on the bus, and so there'd be like 4 loads of Ryan's buses taking us to Essendon Station because we had 7 all girls' schools around us. And what happened was we'd go past the girls' schools, and boys will be boys. They'll be on the bus killing it with the links. You remember the links? It's
West Africa.
throw me the links, bro. Throw me the links, and everyone just spraying links. At one point, the bus company complained about how much links was getting sprayed. The drivers complained.
Okay,
They were getting cooked out with link spray, and so we're putting it on. We're all getting ready. We used to change into our runners with our school uniform, and we used to take our blazers off and put our Kappa tracksuits on. And one of the boys is like, Morello, you're a fat bastard, bro. The only reason why girls like you is because you run all these parties. And this was a guy that was the captain of the football club at the time, of St. Bernard's Football Club. And then I turned around and said, the only reason why you get girls is because you got a 6-pack and pegs. See, we use whatever we got, bro. And everyone just went, shut down. Ironically, I did steal his girlfriend a couple of months later at a house party.
No way.
I
You
did.
win. Get start parties don't look good.
Correct.
Work hard, not smart.
Correct. See, footy plays, it doesn't get you every time.
That's
So,
like
yeah.
one of those conversations like my dad will bash your dad. Like it's a stupid conversation. My dad's got more money than like, you know.
Especially with me.
Yeah.
My dad's low blow.
Low blow, Toby.
Low
Shit
blow
go.
already.
Shit go.
He must have known in advance.
I know.
I shouldn't have
Was
said
this
that.
on the script, was it?
No scripts.
I know.
Unscripted, organic, baby girl.
Should we actually bring that up? That I said, oh, guys, have you done some prep work here about my early life?
We know how much of a linguist you are, and you're a very, very talkative guy.
Yeah.
You're an auctioneer,
Yes.
property mogul. You used to be in the sales games. You try
Yep.
to sell everything down everyone's throat. So we just thought, sell yourself to us.
Yes.
We just thought we'd give you opportunity and the platform for us to be.
Well, the top of the day to you, ladies and gentlemen, bidders and spectators alike, and welcome to this much anticipated auction here of Andrew Morello. There we go.
There you go, look
What
at
can I
that.
see for an opening bid?
$2.
Good start, sir. And bidding on the auctioneer will take you a long way. Good start. There we go. Like my childhood was good. My early days were good. I had a really good life. Had great parents. It was actually, my parents would have been their 47th wedding anniversary yesterday.
Wow.
So a bit of a sad day for Dad. So For those who don't know, my mum obviously passed away a couple of years ago, so it would have been a sad day for Dad, but my sister put on a nice meal, and then he sat on the phone last night with Lion and Keneal for an hour and 45 minutes.
No way.
So, which was kind of beautiful. Keneal was like, I'm still on the phone with him, and I'm like, you're getting Morello'd.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
You got to watch out when those Morellos get you in the corner and get you talking. You won't leave for a couple
That's
of days.
what I mean. Corner.
Corner.
Us, Morello.
I know, but
Lots
yeah.
of talking. No script needed. All good.
That's what I mean. I want to touch on your son's name. What was your son's name again?
Lion Mane Morello.
I love this. I love how like when people get a certain amount of wealth, they just think they can make up names. You know, like Kim Kardashian or whatever she named her kid. Michael Jackson named his kid Blanket. Like Lion. I go, oh, how much money I got in my bank? Yeah, okay, I can make up a name. Lion Mane Morello. I just put my 8th property and I've got investments. Yeah, so I can make shit up here.
I've given him like a forecast for his future.
Exactly right.
Mate, you're about 6 properties off where he's at. What do you mean?
2 properties.
You're living in Vaucluse now, mate.
You're living in Vaucluse.
You're the
I'm renting,
superstar.
mate. I'm renting.
Oh,
You
I
are
can't be.
buying.
You're a
You
liar.
I bought.
You're a
I'm
liar,
not
correct.
buying anything. I'm humble beginnings.
Just a simple boy from Vaucluse trying to
Simple
get a
boy from
start.
Springs, just trying to do my best and get ahead in life, you know? Just a hustler.
Jesus. Anyway. I wanted
You
to
want
ask
to talk about Jesus?
Not really, no.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm okay.
Beliefs.
Beliefs?
Believer?
Oh, are we talking about beliefs on this podcast?
No, I tell you what I think. I say I believe in God, and I love Jesus as the thing that Jesus is. Like he was the original hippie, right?
he stands for,
Like
or
like everybody was like against him. He was like, let's just turn water into wine, get off our heads, and have a good time. And then he just walked around the desert a few times, made friends. He
was ahead of his time.
his best friend was a prostitute.
He was ahead of
his time.
Very philosophical. He
know,
helped
but
a lot of people, healed a lot of hearts.
The best thing
Correct.
about the Bible is, I suppose, you can interpret it in any way you want. So if you want
Correct.
to interpret it that way, then that's good stuff.
100%.
And then if you don't like Christianity, there's Buddhism,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hinduism, there's even Scientology. I think that's, whatever you want.
Well,
whatever meets
you
your
boys know that I
ministries.
go off to and do like ceremony and stuff like that, right? And like I've got all my little prayer beads and everything around my
Yeah,
neck
you're
here
very
and all that.
spiritual, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Very spiritual,
So I don't
man.
think I'm religious. I think I'm more spiritual now, right?
I believe in a
So-
higher power. I think there's something out there bigger than us working in conjunction with spirits.
Plus, I feel like
pushing us in directions and
I feel like and that was the whole concept. Not to stay on Jesus, but the whole concept of him was that he was not Sid may cast the first stone, like when he said that, and like that's one of his famous lines. And I'm like, that's how you should live your life. Like everybody's very quick to have a go at other people, but I'm like, bro, you've done plenty of bad shit, right? And I'm not saying that you should go through life and just absolutely take shit all the time, but like I look at that and I go, okay. Good people, if they make a mistake, you should also give people a second chance, right? And so, like, footy players are a prime example. How many times do you guys fuck up? And then,
0 for me. About you? 0?
publicly or no, exactly right. That's
So,
human error. People
correct.
expect so much of people, especially like I think footballers, or any professional sportsman in that sense, like not just us, we're not just like picked on. Like we're built up to be this image of a person we should be or shouldn't be, and obviously in the limelight. And people get paid X, so they demand this, and they shouldn't be doing this because people on the couch at home don't agree with it or whatever it is. Like it's a crazy world out there. People start deciding who you should or shouldn't be based on what you're paid and where you are in the life. Like we're just growing up. People grow up in different circles, and sometimes it's played out publicly, and it's it's a sad ending.
It is, correct. And I think that's where we've got an opportunity as human beings just to be a little bit nicer to people, number one. But I think more importantly, it's like, I think especially like Sydney's probably the worst out of everywhere. Like I've been lucky enough to travel all over the world. I've got my orphanages in Cambodia. I'm back there in March next year for a month in Cambodia working with the kids there. And it's like, you see what happens there, then you come to Sydney and the shit that people pull on each other. And like, you're the best at it because you just dismiss it. Like you massively dismiss things. Like if someone's being a dickhead, you're just like, nah, got no time for you, right? Which is great. And you don't let anything really affect you. But like a lot of people do, right? Like in please, when I say this, there's no misogyny in what I'm about to say, but like a lot of my female friends and female staff and female family, like they take things so personally. And I try and sit there and I try and say to them, it's actually all irrelevant, right? I think to give women credit, men are too dumb to care about shit. So what actually happens is like the whole concept psychologically of us compartmentalizing, right? So something happens to us, like us three are pretty much the same. Like something will happen, we'll go, it is what it is, right? Like, all three of us will be like that. with women most of the time, and this is not a generalization, this is real life experience I've seen with close family friends, close friends, female friends. They overthink things because they are more intelligent. Like they try and dissect it and try and find. It's how many times have we had ex-girlfriends here, and like they try and bring things up that happened like 9 months ago, and you're like, I've totally forgotten about that.
I don't know what I had for breakfast yesterday.
Like, there's my point.
Let alone this thing you brought up for 3 months. But yeah,
You
The
guys are
emotional
lucky, but you get to
intelligence.
call it concussion.
So what you're saying is that your one message from the podcast is that women should build a bridge and get over it. Is that what you're trying
That is
to
not
say?
my message,
It
by the way.
it seems like you
That
came
is
onto the
not
Stuck
my
in the Middle
message.
podcast
That is
and
not
you
my
want.
message. Definitely not.
Okay,
Your
well,
words, not ours.
I know,
I mean, that's
there you
just,
go.
look,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is,
Oh my
I mean,
God, I'm going to get hate mail.
yeah.
Does anyone get hate mail anymore?
We have to have more followers than us on the podcast. to get mail for us.
Yeah, but
I
do you-
hate mail, but I think that's the interesting thing about
Does anyone
sports.
ever
Like,
send you guys
imagine-
like a letter to the club?
No. Oh, I've got a fake call from the cops trying to put me.
Yeah,
in
let's say
trouble.
police in the
Rather than
Coogee
that,
Bay.
not from that. Like, I think it's crazy. Like when you talk about like what you talked about, like in the world we're in, like if someone had a bad game, they get death threats. People at home, like you should have done this and this and this. Like,
They do,
imagine how
yeah.
Crazy
People do that, yeah.
It's psychotic.
Oh, I never played a bad game.
People's worlds. Yeah, never had a bad game. People take time out of the day to send like hate and negative things on social media. It's crazy.
It takes so
world,
much
man.
energy.
Yeah.
So much energy, like males and females, the energy that it takes to be angry at somebody and to hold a grudge. And like, I'm not going to use names for legal reasons, but right now, a very good friend of mine, his ex-business partner from 7 years ago is still trying to ruin his new business. From 7 years ago, like he called me the other day and he's like, bro, he's done this thing. He's written this thing on their social media, and it's defamation. What he doesn't realize, it's defamation when you put it on something public like that. And I jumped on and had a look, and I'm like, really? After 7 years, he's still got the time and the energy to try and ruin your reputation.
I suppose
energy.
it's down to his life, though, isn't
It's
it?
the energy that the dark.
What is it?
I suppose it's down to how's his life going? The guy that's trying to. You know-
He's doing extremely well.
Oh, is he
financially.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
That-
awful
there's
then.
the bigger,
That's
worse
awful.
problem.
Yeah, I don't
Some
know.
people can hold on to that kind of stuff for ages, like the grudges and the darkness, and some, like you said, 7 years later, he's doing well. Not he's in a bad place somehow. Still,
He's
set
killing
out.
it financially, but obviously he's absolutely losing it emotionally, spiritually, and mentally.
There's obviously some broken
Broken
of
shit,
that
man.
that's never been healed up, and I just don't understand.
Well, that's
it.
their fucking sociopathy and what is it, narcissism,
Narcissism.
right?
Narcissism, yeah.
Well, I want to get. So we're talking about some pretty broad topics here. I want to talk about you, Andy.
Okay, please.
Okay,
Toby.
thank God.
Tobias Eric Rudolph.
Hot. What a hot guy that is. Anyway, so you've always seemed to sort of be this business sort of mindset. Like you went from, running parties in your school at 16 to
Yep.
then, promoting nightclubs in Melbourne
Yep.
in your early teens and in your early years, coming to Sydney, you're sort of doing very similar things here. You had that house in Bondi that was quite famous before you knew me, which is a bit of a shit go.
I know.
It hurts. But where did this come from? Is this from like passed down from your father? Is this just something you've always been in? Liam wants to say something?
Don't forget, winner of the Apprentice. What year was it?
Winner the Apprentice 2008.
9.
Damn it.
Yeah, so you
Close
just-
though.
Business
You've done some
minded.
research. I like this.
No, I just remember things.
I know you don't.
Sometimes.
You fucking remember nothing, bro.
I remember things that are important.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go. That's
Yeah.
important. There we go. We're pretty close.
So where does it come from? Is
Oh,
it-
look.
yeah.
Well, you guys have met my dad,
Yeah.
so obviously you get to meet my mum. But my dad, I was very, very lucky. My parents were very entrepreneurial. Like mum and dad didn't come out together because they were children, but came out from Italy on a boat in the 50s to Port Melbourne Pier down in Melbourne. And then it actually stems back from, actually, ironically, my grandfather.
Marcello.
No, that's on my mother's side. So his name was Orazio. Orazio Morello.
Orazio.
Yeah, Orazio. So no relation to Da Orazio's in Bondi, although my dad loves going there, and Orazio from Da Orazio's is a good mate of mine because obviously it's a very rare Italian name. But my grandfather was very, to give him some credit and all about understanding where people come from, he was a prisoner in World War II, came to Australia, and he brought his demons with him. His drinking, his gambling, all that sort of jazz. And so, my dad saw that, and my dad made a very conscious decision very early to not become his father. And so my dad, interesting story, at sort of 9 years old, he went and bought, there was like a news agent in Puckle Street, Moonee Ponds, and at 9 he would get the racing guides, because we're right next to the Moonee Valley Racecourse and right next to Flemington Racecourse, and he'd get the guides on a Saturday morning, go there, and he would sell the race guides. And My grandfather was a gambler, loved the horses as well. So he used to go down to the races and people would say, Orazio, I saw your son Giovanni, my dad John, Giovanni in Italian, Giovanni selling race records. And my grandfather would be like, no, because it was like a big blemish on your reputation if your children or your wife worked. You know, these old Italians, it was like there was a pride thing. They didn't want their wife or children working.
I wanted to take care of everyone.
Correct. But when you're gambling and drinking...
Bit hard.
Correct. So anyway, he eventually finds my dad one Saturday and he drags him home, but like literally by the scruff of the neck, drags him home, ties him to the hills hoist outside, right, and leaves him overnight.
How old is your dad at this time?
I'm 9 years
Are we
old.
talking on the post? Like,
What?
no, sorry.
What's
Where
talking about
did you
both?
tie him?
The hills hoist.
What's the hills hoist?
You know
You don't even know what a
hoist
fucking
is?
hills hoist is. It's
Liam's an
Australian
idiot,
invention.
everyone. Liam's an idiot. Oh, I don't know what a hills hoist is.
It's a
What a dumb
clothesline.
bum.
Do you know the clothesline in your backyard? That was invented by
In
an
Australia,
Australian.
mate. One of
So
the
it's named
great
after
Australian
hills
inventions.
hoist. Correct. One of the great
There you
Australian
go.
inventions.
I love learning new things.
There you go.
Thank you for
You're learning
teaching
new stuff.
Yeah.
There we go.
Idiot.
So, you idiot. So it ties into the hills hoist. In the morning, my dad goes out. He goes out there. You'd imagine my dad's traumatized by this. And my dad, the following Saturday, what did he do? He went and bought fucking race records and went and sold them. Bought them for, 10 cents and sold them for 20 cents. Because he goes, that was a life lesson for him that he wanted to do more. So then with us, people always think, oh, your dad, did he push you into business and stuff like that? And I said, actually, no. My dad just wanted us to be happy. But my mum and dad, and this is a lesson for any parents out there, fostered a really good environment of like, you can do anything, right? So like it was interesting. I was the youngest of 3 children. So there's my brother, my sister, and my dad. You've met all 3 of them, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So brother, sister, and me.
You.
I'm the youngest. So what happened was my brother and sister sort of blazed the way in getting into trouble and all that jazz. My brother is Australia 180, but he used to go to nightclubs. He used to also run nightclubs, ironically, but he was like a complete Australia 180 from what I hear from the reports. My sister, she took me to my first nightclub when I was 14, and it was a gay nightclub to top it all off.
sounds-
Is that where you got started? Is that
That's where it all
you got
started.
That
At
sounds like a
One
good
Love,
time.
One Love at the Prince of Wales when it was actually a gay party before he changed over. My sister took me at 14 through the back door.
I'm guessing a nice dent Italian man like yourself looked a bit older with the beard and
I
the,
did.
and the
I got away
features.
with it. I got away with it. I got away with it. And so what ended up happening was she, by the time I got older, my dad had this rule. And he sort of fucked up a little bit because he goes, well, here's my rule. My rule is when you make your own money, you can do whatever you want. So at 14 years old, I was like, how am I going to make my own money? So I'm trying to think. And another friend of mine, Jesse Volpe, his mother, Carol Espinoza, she worked for youth services at Moonee Valley Council. So I said to Jesse, I said, look, there's these people running dance parties for underage dance parties in halls, right? But they're shit. The guys are on one end, the girls are on another end, and they're boring to go to. Like no one's really getting into it because like they're in a hall, right? They're not a nightclub. So I found this grey area in the law where if you took the alcohol out of the nightclub, you could put under 18s people in there. So I went to the local nightclub, which was called One Bar. It was owned by a guy named Ben Harrison, and I went and pitched him. I said, listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay you, what night don't you open? He goes, Friday nights. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run an event for 500 kids on a Friday night here. I'll pay you a fee. I'll move all the alcohol out. I'll pay someone to move all the alcohol, and I'll pay someone to put all the alcohol back in, and you can sell like lemonade and glow sticks and shit like that. And he's like, why would we do that? If I opened on a Friday night, I said, but you're not opening on a Friday night, because if I opened on a Friday night, I'd make 15 grand over the bar. I said, I know that, but let me sell it to you. I said,
At 14.
At
Yeah,
14.
that's what I'm thinking too. At 14,
At
oh, you're
14,
doing this.
let me sell it to you. I said,
Yeah.
when those 14-year-olds turn 18, where do you think they're going to have their 18th birthday? Where they've got the most nostalgia and memories from, when they kissed their first girl, when they did other things with their first boy, in the back room. Like, they're going to be like, I want to have my 18th birthday there. That's when you're going to make your money. And then he's like, that's a fucking good point.
That is a fucking great
I
point.
know. And he goes, that's a great
I
point.
had the presence of mind at 14.
14. So then I went back to the council and I said to him, I wrote up a business plan and I said I needed like 10 grand to start. It'd be like 8 grand to start the business. And Carol Espinoza gave me my first 10 grand. Thank you, Carol Espinoza.
And that was from the council.
That was from the council.
Shout
So the
out
government.
Carolyn.
What?
The man was born. Carolyn.
Carolyn.
Was that her name?
Who?
So shout out to Carolyn Spinoza.
No,
who that
Carol
is.
Espinoza.
Oh, there you go. Carol Espinoza.
You're ruining this podcast, Liam. You're ruining it.
Can't hear properly.
One of my best mates growing up, Jessie Volpe's mum, she gave me my first 10 grand to start the business. So we started that. And that sort of, like literally the first event, actually, good story. First event, I still remember, the place was licensed to hold like 700 people. And they used to have a clicker out the front that they showed the police, and a clicker out the front that they knew the real number that was in there. And I remember I was downstairs and I suited up. I'm like 15 at this point when we first opened up. I'm 15. The first event was Morello's birthday. So March 5th, when I was 15 years old, March. And so I ran Morello's birthday because I knew everyone would come, and I'm letting everyone in. They're paying $20 to come in as well, 18 with a pass. And then one of the promoters come down. I remember Mus, short for Mustafa. He come down. He's like, Morello, the roof is leaking. I said, what the fuck? So I run up and I look up and the roof is leaking. Drop from the roof. So I run downstairs and I say to the security guard, can I please speak to the owner, Ben Harrison? I think he's in the office. Can you get him on the radio and bring him out? He brings him out. I said, Ben, we got a problem. The roof's leaking. And he takes me up. He goes, where? And he shows me and the roof's leaking. Bop, bop, bop. He goes, bro, the roof's not leaking. I said, what do you mean? He goes, that's sweat dripping from the roof. The venue holds 700 people. You've put in like 1,150 in here. So I just jammed them all in.
$20 a ticket.
Correct. So while he was stressing out about the fact that the roof was dripping sweat,
You're ticking over
I'm
money-wise.
thinking in my head, I just made fucking 20 grand.
What was the $8,000 for to start the business?
You need to pay. So when we were running the events back then, it was like promotional passes were a main thing.
Yeah.
So a big shout out to my cousin Anthony he used to design the passes for me. And even at 15, 16, he was amazing at it. Like I've still got some of those passes somewhere, and every now and then I get a random picture from someone reminding me about, it was called Angel. And our motto was class, style, prestige. There was no class, there was no style, and there was no fucking prestige. I can assure you that.
Prestige worldwide.
No, prestige, that's right. I basically was manifesting what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But it was great. And I still remember I walked home, and this is good parenting, right? I walked home with the boys after it, and my dad had a rule. Like, he's like, I know you guys are going to go drink after you run the events and stuff. He goes, I'd rather you drink in the backyard because he goes, your mum can cook food. Everyone's in the backyard. Everyone can be safe. So we all walked from the nightclub, me holding my Nike shoebox, grey with the orange lid that opened like that. I still remember, had 20 grand of 5 10s and $20 notes. And I walked in and I showed my dad. And my dad freaks out. And he's like, fucking, where did you get all that money from?
Dylan.
And I said, Dad, I ran the party. And he's like, you made that much money? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, in future, you call me, I drive down, pick up the cash, and then you can walk back with your mates. So this, and and from that day onwards, you know what my dad used to do? This is good parenting, and this is how much I love my dad, and I'm about to get emotional thinking about it. He used to come collect the cash, then I'd have envelopes pre-written, so like Liam, Knight, I just put like your initial in the corner, LK, and then the amount, 200, or, T, 500.
And more than you sucked in.
And my dad would do
sympathy
this. He would get the 20 grand, count it all up, because he grew up in service station. We had service stations, so he always had to count cash. I remember he had a big floor safe, and he would count the cash. He'd put the money in everyone's envelope. Then everyone would get settled in at the backyard at my mum and dad's house, 275 Escobar Road. They'd get in the backyard. My mum would crank up the food. The boys the DJs would bring a DJ set, put the music on. We'd all start drinking. My dad would come out, give me the packet of envelopes like this, and then I'd walk around, and my dad said, never underestimate the power of a bit of cash in an envelope. And I'd walk around and go sit next to Nighty and go, here, mate, here's your envelope. And he'd be like, thank you, Morello, thank you, sir. And I'd always say to people, don't open in front of anyone else. Just put it in your pocket. Carefully. Then go sit next to Toby. Here, give him the envelope, hand them all out. Then I'd walk inside and I'd go to my dad. My dad's like, is everyone happy? I'm like, everyone's happy. And then my dad would go, he'd take me over to the safe, and he'd go, you've got 12 grand left. He goes, here's 6 for you. 6 going to stay here, and that's we're going to start saving for you. So he gave me the 6, and thank God he did that, because I was 15, 16, 17 years old, getting a bloody 3-bedroom penthouse at Crown Casino through my mates' names, and just partying. And my dad, I'd come back after a weekend, and my dad would be like, you blew that 6 grand, didn't you? I'm like, fucking no.
So wait, how much of it, I think you're missing something, how much of it went to the Australian government? Because obviously you pay taxes and stuff.
Heaps. The whole lot.
Yeah, most of it. Yeah.
So much, eh?
Heaps.
So much.
So then the other 20 grand went to the government.
Correct.
Yeah.
The next 20 grand went straight there.
The accountant fixed all that up.
Yeah, back pay and everything like that. It was 16, statute of limitations. Who cares? Go away.
Correct.
So these these like little envelopes of money, they're for like people that are helping out and doing
Correct.
this. And,
so promoters,
yeah.
I think it was cute.
Sounds pretty cute.
It was cute because like
You're cute.
I.
Back that.
Are we going to talk about what you bought me for my birthday?
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, correct.
Come touch on this.
Done.
Say one touch. At a
So
time.
anyway, it was a beautiful period of my life. Like it's funny. I look back upon that period and like the things I learned. Like it was funny when I was on The Apprentice, and I was telling Ice this story the other week. When I was on The Apprentice, Burris said we got to the final 3. And I was up against a guy who a woman who had an MBA and a guy who had a law degree.
She played for the NBA.
She played for the NBA,
For the
correct?
NBA, how'd she go? She good?
Yeah, any good?
She's very tall, very tall.
Good for her.
And he goes to us, what do you think you should win? And he asked the 3 of us before he got rid of somebody. And he took us to Aria for dinner. And then at Aria, he said, tomorrow morning you have to come here and come to the boardroom and explain why you deserve to win. So I said, all right. So I got there and I said, look, I don't have an MBA. I don't have a law degree. But, what I've got is what I've learnt. I'm a simple boy from Moonee Ponds trying to get ahead in life, and what I've learned, and I've got my loyalty, and I've got my work ethic, and I've got this, and I've got my reputation.
Graduated from the school of life.
So Burris turns around and he goes, you've got a degree. I'm like, no, I don't. You've got a doctorate. I'm like, no, I don't. You've got an MBA. I said, what do you mean? And he goes, from the back streets of Moonee Ponds. And I'm like, fuck yeah. We need to retake that, thanks.
Start beating your chest. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's actually that's mad.
Yeah, well, Burris was from what's the Bronx out here?
In Sydney.
Yeah.
Bondi.
Maroubra? At the
Oh,
Bronx.
no, it's Punch Bowl. It's from Punch Bowl.
Oh, gross.
Really?
Yeah, there's my point.
Sorry, shout out to everyone listening to Punch Bowl. We love you and I love the
You
area.
just lost 4 of your
No,
subscribers.
no, no.
4 of your 8
Stop it,
subscribers.
everyone stop it.
Half gone, yeah.
I know.
I'm going to get them back ready. El Jana is hectic. We got him back. We got him back.
Everyone's back. Yeah, love
Everyone's
you.
back. Sorry,
Love you out
guys.
there, Punchy. Respect.
You need to get a sponsor from a sponsorship
We need to
from
get
Aljana.
Trent from. We need to get Trent from Punchy. out.
You do need to get Trent from Punchy. Whatever happened to him?
I don't think he's still around.
No, he did the he was soulmates.
He's still kicking.
Yeah, but he's not Trent Punch anymore. That was a character. That was not real.
That wasn't him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You idiot.
I think Trent from Punchy died from smoking too much crack.
No.
So that character
Yeah.
died off, so now he had to do a new
that
character.
New
character's
characters.
gone, and he's reborn into who he is now.
It was like a resurrection.
Yeah.
But with crack.
Yeah. It was a
was involved.
resurrection.
Jesus was there. He's helping out. Yeah.
Jeebus, I know him.
Jeebus, Jesus, we'll do our best.
Are you a believer, Liam? You want to get into that real quick?
Into what?
A believer.
In a
Oh,
believer?
you said a high
Believer?
power. You said there was a
I like
high
Justin
power.
Bieber.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, I
like
partied with him
power.
in Monaco.
Did
Justin
ya?
Bieber.
When was that?
We went to the Monaco Grand Prix, Jack Delasser and I.
Why didn't you do that, Dan? You were in Monaco recently. You did fuck all.
Bro, I saw about your Monaco trip. Why was I not invited to that Monaco trip?
First of all, you're going to have to yell. We're inside. We're in a friendly environment.
The whole time.
You were imprisoned on a boat
Prison
in
on a
Monaco.
boat on the racetrack is not a prison.
Typing on a computer the whole time.
You dance like a
type
puppet.
really
You
weird,
dance
bro.
like a
Can I
puppet.
just say,
So hard that I was sweating on the go.
boys, can you please
Rough
get
industry, that one.
good enough at podcasting so that we can go to the Monaco Grand Prix and do a podcast on the back of a super
Why
yacht?
the fuck do you think we're doing this?
Oh, no, thank God.
Only reason.
Because interestingly enough, so we did Monaco, right? So on that story, it's a once in a lifetime thing you have to do, without a doubt. It's the most expensive thing you'll ever do.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to afford to do it ever
Well,
anyway.
you will. That's a
Okay.
fucking lie. You don't even spend any money, bro. You put everything away.
Nah, I
You
spend a
spirit
lot of it
away.
on food. All I do
You
is
do
eat
eat,
out.
correct.
Yeah.
You do eat a lot, correct.
Yeah.
But you're now sponsored by U-Foods.
Well, yeah, that's true. Actually, you know what? We are kind of indirectly sponsored by U-Foods. I had to make the video on the TikTok, and it's the stuck in the middle TikTok. So at the end of the post, it says stuck in the middle. So unofficially, we got our first sponsor.
Oh,
we
well,
did it.
Does that mean you owe me money?
I know that's what I was about to say.
That means Dan is fired.
I think you owe Liam either money or food. One of the
I'll
two.
take some meals.
I'm actually coming to your house in Cronulla and getting some food now.
Come get it, bro.
No, no,
That's
definitely.
Morello will go anywhere for a free food.
So, correct.
That's what we're getting. You got all the way to Canala for one meal.
Oh no, correct. And then I'll walk back. Save
yeah.
money. There
Walk
you
it
go.
off.
There you go.
So
Tightest
Monaco,
man. Tightest man alive.
we have to do it at some point. We have to do. What happens is you arrive. It's like 4 days. You do day one on the super yacht on the track. Day two, you're up in one of the stands. Day three, you're in the Fairmont, and day four, you're in the Palace. So a 4-day pass. Absolute amazing
What's
experience.
this going for the pass?
You're going to drop about 50.
Yeah, well,
50 grand.
mate, as long as you're shouting, I'm keen as.
You should be shouting, bro. You guys are famous NRL stars.
You guys
Yeah,
are,
And
you,
you're
you
famous
have,
podcasters.
you have wildly overestimated how much we get paid. Like, I think everyone does.
Yeah.
Wildly
I know,
overestimated.
it's a real life
There's this
thing.
thing here that you don't know about called tax.
And we
Right.
pay our own super.
Tax. What's
Yeah,
tax?
mate, you pay half of it to this thing. I don't know who it is. I don't know what his name is or what his go is,
Well,
but
you started out in the
8.5
cash
cents.
business, you wouldn't know much about that. You do owe the ATL a lot of money. I'm going to
Yeah,
sketch
yeah.
you in, but yeah,
I'm,
that
I'm
thing-
paying them
that-
off. They're on a
oh,
payment plan.
good for them.
They are literally on a payment plan.
Oh, that for the 18th property you bought. offset some income.
They don't even start on land tax, bro. You want to know something?
Aren't
Land
they
tax.
changing it? I thought they're changing it.
They're not changing it, bro. It's a Labor government. Why would they get rid of land tax?
No, apparently they're getting rid of...
tax the rich people.
No, they're getting rid of stamp duty.
No, they're not. You're
But
off
for
your
certain
head.
properties under a certain amount,
Probably for first home buyers,
First
bro.
home buyers.
that's the one.
They raised
Oh.
the bar first home buyers.
Yeah,
And everyone-
that's a
alright.
Labor initiative.
Look, if everyone just wants to stop yelling at me,
Never better time to buy a house, Toby, for you.
facts.
Yeah.
Nah, but like,
My
you,
first home, let's buy one.
No, he's not going to buy anything under that bracket. It's under 650,000.
I would have lived in a dump.
They put it up, didn't they? They put it up to $1 million.
Oh, did they?
850, I believe, actually.
Oh, you'd have to do that in Sydney. You can't buy anything for under $1 million.
You can go to Queensland and get an investment like a Gold Coast or something.
No, but you need to be first home buyer. You need to live in it. Live in it.
Yeah, we'll just.
Air
Live in
quotes.
it.
I guess
Air
you get a
quotes.
nice account. There's also ways around that. you know?
No, there is not.
Send
And
your mail.
don't talk about that.
What? I don't know. I got told about it. I've never done it. I just
Lamb, you're
hear
being
rumours.
so naughty right now.
I know.
You hear rumours.
You're
I've
being
just-
risque, one might say.
I've never done it. I just heard rumours. You
You're
told
being
me.
risque. I fucking did not tell you.
That's why I tell her to
Don't
talk about
implicate
it.
me any further, please.
You're a crook.
I need plausible deniability.
Andy,
Just a side note. Do you have another suit? I've never seen you not wear that suit.
This is a different one. You were saying the blue one. You wanted me to wear the blue one. You left the voicemail.
That one
saying
is
wear the-
light blue. Hey, that's sorry.
This is my navy. The other
Navy.
one's moonlight blue.
so you have two suits.
I have 3.
What's the other one?
It's like a brownie grey.
You sure on that?
Why?
I like it, looks good.
I
What's wrong?
like blue.
Just fire out, man. Get off me, eh? I'm
Get
just
on,
looking
get
at-
on
I'm
here.
All
looking
right,
at-
let's question this. What about those fucking skivvies?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, see?
I'm
Thank you
just
so much for coming on the
curious.
podcast today.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What's he saying?
What is that? I know what that is.
What was the question?
What is it?
I don't understand the
What is
question.
it? How now, brown cow?
Andy, back to you.
Yes.
You mentioned
Thanks.
before. You mentioned before.
My
about-
lefty is hot. It means left for love. Somebody's talking about me in a loving way. Is it you two?
Right.
'Cause if it's you two on
We'll
board.
do the talking for now. You just wait your turn, please.
Okay.
Speak when spoken to, please, sir. I love you. Can we get back? You mentioned before about your is it orphanages
Yes,
in Cambodia?
correct.
thought
I think I want to go there with you. I want to see.
We're
I
not
wanna check
supposed
it
to
out.
call them orphanages
What are
anymore.
they called now? Village.
They're just called villages now, correct. So Sunrise Village.
How'd you get into that? What
met this-
prompted you, inspired you to get into that, and talk a bit about that?
Great. So I met an amazing woman. Her name's Geraldine Cox. She's actually going to be here in October. She'd be great for you to get on the podcast.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's a very famous Australian.
sort that
She's
out.
100%. So we're going to run a fundraiser for her at the Mossman Rowers in. It's going to be up close and personal with Geraldine Cox and Andrew Morello at the Mossman Rowers in October to raise money for the charity over there and the
Nice
kids.
little plug there, I
But
like
what
that.
we're going to do is we're going to take everyone's phones off them.
So we have to talk to each other.
Keys in the
No,
ball, phones.
no, we're
involved?
going to take the phones off for the interview because we're going to make it. We're going to let her do it. She's at the end of her career, like a bit like philanthropic career. She's a little bit older now, in her 70s, and she's had some health issues. So she's going to sort of move on next year. That's why we're going to do a big hurrah trip in March next year for a month over in Cambodia, working with the kids and her. And what we're going to do is she's going to sort of semi-retire a little bit and hand over the reins to this new young fresh woman. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put the phones away.
Jesus.
Jeez, you've blokes go straight to the gutter.
Young, fresh,
Fresh
what's she?
woman.
Old,
Old and
wrinkled.
stanky.
You might go straight to the gutter, you two, I tell
Yeah,
you.
old,
gutter?
wrinkled,
Yes.
Oh,
old,
man.
wrinkled, and used is pretty
And
much
you
how
know
you.
you both did. You both delayed laughed at the same time as if you planned
No,
it.
he started laughing, and then I realised what you said. I was like, he did not just
Pretty
say
much, you have this big praise for her, and then you just put in like she's old, used, wrinkled.
She's
Yeah.
not.
She's 70 years old, mate. She's a young bar.
Can I actually? She's in her 70s. I don't think she's 70. I think she's beyond her 70.
just absolutely
But can I
big
tell you,
star.
she is very young, extremely young at heart. That's why she'd be good on the podcast. And also the reason why I don't want to let people film when I interview her, because she's got lots of amazing stories about fucked up shit that has happened
Oh, man.
with the military, but also when she went to the United Nations, she's gone and slept with Saudi princes to get money for fucking the orphanage and stuff.
man.
She tells these stories to me all the time. And I said to her, people would pay a lot of money, like $500 a ticket, to hear those stories that don't get to make it on TV and don't get to make it at different events. And she's like, that's actually a really good idea. I said, look, we could charge $500 to hear good, fun stories like that.
All the money goes to the village.
Correct. So what happens is over there's two sites, one in Kundal, which is an hour out of Phnom Penh, and another because what happens is they have to put them in discrete locations. The children are rescued from child prostitution and begging circles. So a lot of the time, the mafia, when they buy the kids from different people in human trafficking, they go and put a little tattoo mark on their hand. So like if a certain gang has bought they'll put a little cross there, and so we have to take the kids out of the area, so then we can reintegrate them. But so the whole idea of an orphanage now, because the United Nations have really been against calling kids orphans because they think it pigeonholes them into being an orphan for the rest of their life. So the whole idea of it now is that they go into these Sunrise Village with Geraldine Cox and so forth. So her name's Geraldine Cox, by the way, and they reintegrate them. So the whole idea is to try and find a family member that's got their shit together. So like if they've got a grandparent that isn't a degenerate, but a lot of the time you got to understand, like people sit there and when they hear some of the stories that Geraldine tells and some of the stories that we tell, that the people that go there and volunteer, and they go, how could those parents do that? What terrible parents. And what I try and explain to them is I said, I'm not saying it's right, definitely not saying it's right, but what I am saying is let me explain to you the psychology behind it, which a lot of people don't know, right? This is where human beings are like, they see it at face value. So what will happen is in these villages in Cambodia, they'll have like 5 kids. They'll have 4 boys and they'll have 1 girl. Now, they're still stuck in that world where they believe that the girl is going to marry off to a guy and then that's it, that's done. But the boys are basically effectively the superannuation for the parents. That's how they foresee them. They go, oh, these boys will grow up and make money. There's no superannuation, there's no pension, there's no dole, there's no government funding. It's like no one has any money in that family, you will go hungry and die.
That's the culture.
That's the culture, right? And in a lot of the world still, like no offense, but like majority of people listening to this will be Australians, but like hopefully some other people overseas will listen, but in developing nations, that is normal behavior where the parents will sell their kids, or like China, not only even like 15 years ago, not even talking like 100 years ago, China, multi-trillion dollar country, billion people, when they were having daughters like 15, 20 years ago,
they
used to let them die of hunger.
Yeah,
they would let them die naturally, but let them die of hunger because they were only allowed to have 1 child. And so if they had a daughter, they thought that the daughter could never provide for them. Right? So like this is not in our past history. So what happens is these parents, and they get fooled, the parents, they're uneducated, illiterate. So what happens is these gangster people say, oh, listen, we're gonna give you money for your daughter, but we're gonna take her, we're gonna train her up to become a beautician or this. She's gonna send money back for you, but they just lies. Right? So I'm sure if the parents knew exactly what was gonna happen to these children. So there's a real life example of this amazing girl named Wow that a lot of people would have seen on my social media before. She's an amazing girl. Wow, her name's actually Wow. It's pronounced like Veauve or something, but it's Wow in Cambodia, in Khmer. She was sold by her parents into a begging circle over the border into Thailand. So everyone's been to Bangkok, seen the kids running around asking for money. They all work for the mafia, a syndicate, effectively. Really? And so what happened was she was so beautiful. She was like 9 years old. She was too beautiful that one day someone brought her into a room, like one of the mafia guys brought her into a room, and another mafia guy poured a battery acid on her face. So like if you look on my socials, you'll see there's this girl whose face is like slightly melted on this side, and I'm good friends with her, so she'll probably listen to this, and she's probably one of the most inspirational women I've ever met in my life. So she's now older. She's now gone and spoken at the United Nations about being a burn victim, about being human trafficked and so forth. She's one of the happiest people I know, and like I look at that and she doesn't have anger or resentment for what happened to her, and she finds the beauty in the small things. And I run a youth summit, or I'm the face of a youth summit up in Port Macquarie every year called the Luminosity Youth Summit that's on in July. And a few years back, they actually organised for her to fly out from Cambodia and surprise me on stage. Myself and Liz Volpe, the girl who I do the Project Gen stuff with. So like, I look at that and I go, you asked an interesting question, which I probably haven't admitted before on record, that people say to me, why did you get into all this philanthropy so young? When I was in high school at St. Bernard's, we were forced to do St. Vincent's de Paul soup van for 1 term, right? And I was a rat bag in high school, right? I wasn't a mean person, but I was a rat bag. I love to party. I love to have a good time.
Good to see you've changed so much.
Correct. And so I went and did this charity work, and like I was still a rat bag. But what I did is, and I probably did it initially for the wrong reasons, doing philanthropy. And I did philanthropy because I was trying to even up my karma. So even at 15, 16, 17, I was like, you know, I wasn't the best boyfriend. I wasn't the
paying
best.
tax.
Yeah. I
need to give back to someone.
if I go feed the homeless, right? So there we go. So I look at that and I go, okay, I'm going to go and do something good to even up my karma. But then I started to enjoy it. So then as I got a bit older, I went and did volunteer work in the Philippines. I've done volunteer work in Cambodia. I've gone and worked in Indigenous communities. I sit on the board for Seed Foundation for Indigenous Education. So, you know, we help kids that want to get a career in the medical industry. We put them through Certificate 3, Certificate 4. I went and did the Kokoda Trail in Papua New Guinea for that. I raised $500,000 for Indigenous education.
When did you do that?
2018. Why are you laughing for?
Why are you laughing?
I can't see you walking 60k. How high?
It's more than this. It's like 140k, bro.
Maybe even 60k, 140. I can't.
How
see
much?
it.
Or maybe if you got up on a Sunday morning, come to my house to come get me, I'll go on for a big walk with you.
Why do you do it
We
by
live around
yourself?
the corner now. Not once have you caught up with me.
Mate, you're a busy
We
guy.
caught up more
You're in
when
the
you live
city.
further away.
You're in the city, mate. I'm not coming to the city. Message me.
And
Message me.
Liam, you're rude.
You're rude.
I'm not rude.
I'll meet you at Catalina's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did do the Kokoda Trail, bro.
How much weight did you lose for it?
How much did I raise?
Lose. How much weight did
And
you
raise.
lose?
I was probably, I'm 119 now. I was probably 95.
Yeah, okay, right.
Let's get you back to 95.
Is that the goal?
Me and you are going to get you.
What are we going to go do? But we need to do something when we
We're going
do
to
it.
walk, have like a walk club every week.
Yeah, no, but then can we go do something?
After when we get there.
Wait. Do you mean like bad things?
No. Yes, can we do that?
Have a good walk and then like do something naughty?
Yeah,
Like that?
yeah.
Like a walk and then reward. What's the reward?
Yeah. It's interesting you say that.
Sorry?
I had a.
Dan, the producer, speak up or be
He's
fired.
whispering.
What did you
I
say?
said mushroom.
Cactus.
Oh, shit.
Mushroom, mushroom. We'll cook mushrooms.
No, it was funny because I was talking to just a female friend the other day, and she actually said, "Oh, I saw these photos of you when you were younger. You were like so skinny." And I'm like, "Yeah, I was dating this girl who used to get me to go to the gym at 4 a.m. every morning, 4:30 a.m. every morning." And she's like, "Wow, what a great girlfriend." I'm like, "Yeah, she was definitely manipulating me. That's how she got me there at 4:30 in the morning." Like,
She
you
was
know,
working on her prize.
She was like, "We're gonna go to the gym, and then you can do this." And I was like, "Oh,
Ah.
shit." And I
How
never
could you
realized
not?
until later on, till we broke up. I was like, "Oh shit!" When I put all the weight back on, I'm like, "I need that manipulation back again."
I
Yeah.
need someone dangling the carrot.
It was positive. It was a positive
treadmill.
manipulation. So that's what I'm saying. I need some good manipulation from you, bro.
So you
I'll
want
find-
us to do some sexual favors for you?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you want me to
Correct.
do? If we walk this far, what do you want me to do to you?
No, I'm saying we should work towards something for like the off season,
Yeah.
like go and do something like Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa.
I'm all for that. I'm all for
See
that.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
let's have
yeah.
a go. Like, when I did Kokoda, the reason why I did so well is because I knew at this date I had to go do that.
And you're
It was
raising
a
money
goal.
for this.
And I was
big
raising money for
meaning.
that. Like, it was funny. I went snowboarding in Queenstown 2 weeks before.
That is
And I
funny.
did my ACL. And what are you laughing
Did you?
about?
I'm not laughing. I was
I know.
crazy on Queenstown. And then you had to do the trail after that.
I know. So listen, it was my
Jesus.
mate's wedding, and then I went off the side of a bloody mountain snowboarding,
Mm-hmm.
ruined my knee, and then I got back, and the doctor's like, "Bro, you can't do the Kokoda Trail." I said, "It's called Morello does Kokoda. Like, everyone's paid money to do it with me. Like, that's the whole reason why they do. All these people that really did not want to do it, they're like, I hit them up. I'm like, bro, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it with me. And they all came with me. And he's like, you're just going to need to take a copious amount of drugs. I said, that's good.
Well, let's train for something, and then we can try and raise
Yeah,
money.
like Mount
one
Kilimanjaro.
of these
We
things.
should
to
raise
try and
money.
some money
That's a great
for
idea.
the village.
For privilege.
For the village.
For the privilege. Fuck the privilege.
For the
What do they
village.
need money for?
I was fucking
Buy their
with you.
third car. I mean, like for the village.
Yeah,
for the
Sunrise,
village.
or maybe the Indigenous community here.
Yeah,
like I
awesome.
think it'd be good to do something if we're gonna, two Australians. I think it'd be good to do something here, which would be good.
Stay in Australia, I reckon. You don't want to be.
Well,
you don't want to be shipping money offshore. You got-
No, I
you got
do
enough offshore-
ship money
You
offshore.
got enough offshore account. I know you put plenty of money offshore.
Keep the money in
Check this
Paddington.
guy out. Whoever's doing it.
I'm gonna be in
Um,
so much trouble. For
You
this
said you have
fucking
been
podcast.
very, very well travelled.
Yeah.
What's your favourite place in the world
It's-
other than Cambodia?
Oh fuck! You got me. You
I
got
know-
me.
I know you got
I
me,
knew
bro,
I was
yeah.
about to say it.
Yeah.
I would have to be Monica. Monica was amazing.
Yeah, okay, right.
Like
You're
Monica,
really
was
trying
there.
to get
you
us
just
to
come
shout.
back. He knows, man. Monica.
Haven.
It is a tax haven, correct?
That's why he was there. Check those accounts.
It's all coming together.
Monica was unbelievable, bro.
Yeah.
Monica, and then best experience was Burning Man.
Yeah.
9 days in the Nevada desert.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the US is my favorite country, but Burning Man's my favorite thing.
Experience.
Yeah, experience,
Yeah, okay,
and
yeah.
the country would have been Monaco. But the problem is you can't go to, if you're going to go to Monaco, you got to go with cash.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the shit part of
Well,
it. Like, you
we're
go to
bringing
Cambodia,
you.
you can go there with two
that's why we'll go-
grand.
We're
We'll go with
bringing you
you
to
and
Monaco.
We'll go into your tax haven and we'll just siphon out that account.
Do you not understand what's going on? Like, are you confused by the plan?
Is that?
I don't think he's on board.
I don't think you get it.
I don't know
Like,
how you
we're
haven't
going
got
with
it
you.
yet. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you before the Entourage, before the Apprentice.
Yep.
Real estate was your go.
Yep.
How old were you when you started getting into that? Was it fresh out
I
of
was
school?
17. I was
Oh, you were
17.
in school.
Yeah. So while I was in year 12, I studied my agent's representative course at Broadmeadows TAFE. And for anyone who knows where Broadmeadows is, it's the Bronx. And my mum
Okay,
used to
yeah.
have to drive me there to do it, and she'd wait for me, and I'd be scared that my mum was going to get robbed waiting in the car park at Broadmeadows State. But my mum was too scared for me to catch the train home. She's like, I'm not letting you go. My mum grew up out there. She went to school out there when she went to high school. So I did my thing there. Then I did my full license when I finished year 12. So I finished year 12, I was still 17. I started working part-time in real estate. I did my full license. And I still remember I did it at Swinburne University in Paran behind Revolver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I know
so,
what that is.
Yeah, I know. So Sundays we'd go to Revolver all day and then just stay into Sunday night. Then Monday morning we'd go straight to school.
Mad.
Which was great.
Actually, we know what that is.
Yeah.
Revolver.
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it. Yeah, correct.
Is that a restaurant?
Yeah.
It is actually a restaurant. I would not
Yeah,
eat the food
restaurant
from there,
bar.
but there is food in
Not in
there.
a million years.
No, correct. Not that I ever ate there. There's my point. So,
Nibblies?
so yeah, I did my full license there. Then I started my career at Compton and Green in Williamstown under my first mentorship. The guy who taught me to be an auctioneer, his name's Adrian Butera, who also came to Kokoda with me and did the Kokoda Trail. And then I joined my brother in Thompson Real Estate. And then I won The Apprentice. My brother actually cracked it that I won The Apprentice because he was like, I was like, he's one of his top performers, and he's like, so this Apprentice thing, is this going to ruin your real estate career? I said, no. What's going to happen is I'm going to go on TV. I'm going to get like semi-famous. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come like 6th, 4th, 5th, 3rd, or 2nd, and then I'm going to come back and make a shitload of money in real estate. And he's like, that sounds like a plan. And then he'd ring me every 2 weeks. We were allowed to have our phones every 2 weeks. We weren't allowed to have the phones the rest of the time. And I'd ring him, and he'd be like, how you going? I said, oh, I'm coming 10th. Rang him 2 weeks later. How you going? I think I'm coming 8th. Rang him 2 weeks later. I'm coming 6th. He goes, what happens if you win this thing? I said, I didn't really plan for that. And so then this will ruin it for a few people, but they actually filmed 2 endings in every reality TV
Heard
show.
about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So they filmed me winning and they filmed the girl winning. And then Burris had to ring me and tell me that I had won the night before, and he forgot. He was in Byron.
forgot
and
to
he's-
ring you.
He forgot to ring me. So I'm sitting there waiting for this phone call. And then he finally rings me. He's like, oh, fuck, mate, sorry. Yeah, you won. I'm like, bro, I've been waiting since 1 o'clock today. And he's like, yeah, I forgot. I'm up at Byron at my place up in Byron. And I'm like, okay.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, bro.
I won now.
And then I go to him, I go, mate, because I didn't know I'd won and I was planning as if I was going to come second, I'd listed 40 auctions, literally 40 auctions. I said, mate, I can't move to Sydney for a few months. Like, I need to wrap up my business interests. So anyway, I did that, wrapped it all up, called the auctions, and then moved to Sydney.
40 auction, that's a nice payday.
It was a nice
That
payday.
is a nice payday.
It was a nice payday.
How does it like? Is there a certain time of the year? It seems like a lot of auctions in a certain amount of
spring
time.
market, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So,
So,
and you still do that? You still do a little bit of auctioneering now,
I
but not
do.
as much as you used to.
Yeah, correct. So I did some vendor advocacy on the weekend as well. I bid on behalf of a client up in the Shire.
Oh.
Were you already there?
Down in the Shire. I moved there yesterday. No.
Oh no. So on Saturday I was in Gaimea Bay. Yeah, bidding on a place.
Lovely part of the world.
It's booming there in the
It
Shire.
is.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, you know what, the place I'm living in now, the rent I'm paying, it's not going to last like that for much longer. The way that the market's going here,
Yeah.
I feel like it's just going to start infiltrating south.
Yeah, I reckon that's what's happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well, they
what
were
it
quoting 3 million on this joint, and I bid up to 3.5, and the thing sold for 3.710.
Jesus.
725. I mean, and I texted John McGrath himself, who owns the whole McGrath's estate agents, and I texted him about the property. He did some research. He's like, oh, it should cap out at about 3.334. So that's
way.
one of the smartest guys in real estate in Australia telling you it should cap out at 3.334. And the challenge you've got right now is there's a lot of kids with rich parents. So what's happening is at the auctions, you got young couples trying to get into that next level of market. That
Or
$3 million.
lying.
Or
Or Ryan's trying to get his first investment property at the age of 2.5 with his dad's credit card.
watch out for the line, mate.
Yeah. What do you reckon? They're just like they're taking advantage of the 5% deposit and they're like having.
They
a
are,
guarantor.
and like there's a big thing going on right now with parental guarantees. So what's happened is the parents have got a lot of equity in their property, so the parents don't no longer have to give them the cash. So basically, like
the liability is
if
the
your
house.
dad's got a house worth, mum and dad's got a house worth like $8 million, and you're buying a house for $3 million, they can use $1 million equity as a holding deposit. So they have to guarantor
So
it.
you don't need any money.
You don't need any
That's
cash.
ridiculous.
Correct. So
man.
what's happened with
Jesus.
our generation is we got, our generation are making lots of cash flow money. So people are making like 2, 3, 4, 500 grand a year, but they're spending 2, 3, 4, 500 grand a year. So the parents are going, well, wait a second. What I'll do is I'll parental guarantee a 30% deposit for them. Get them the loan. It's at least it forces my kids to start saving because then at least they're gonna have to pay their.
Does that work for housing commission homes by any chance? Guys, if so, I'm in. I'm in.
It's
You're
only
good as gold.
harder and harder if your parents hadn't bought a house.
Yeah.
It is,
It'd
bro.
be like generational renters,
Yep.
unfortunately.
Yep.
Really.
Which is we see that in Europe, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but it
No,
is
it's
a
all right.
reality.
other ways to make money, investments, businesses.
Like in Europe, a lot of people never ever own a real.
No one
real
does.
estate.
Apparently, no one does. Everyone's renting over there. But over there, because like only not a few people own homes, like a large groups of people own homes, the rent is actually quite affordable.
It's a lot more
So,
affordable than us.
yeah,
Correct. Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not too
Our rents
bad.
are going through the roof.
Through the roof.
Yeah,
Crazy rents. Yeah, yeah.
Andy, I like mine if I call you Andy.
You can call me Andy.
I know you don't like it.
You guys are the only guys that are allowed to call me Andy, though.
Andy, since your start to business at 14, 15, you've obviously had a lot of drive, a lot of commitment and motivation. Where do you think that comes from? What's your why? Why do you do it all?
So Andrew Morello wants to make lots and lots of money.
Can you
to
not talk
pay-
about yourself in the third person? I know I asked you the question. Just
You want
answer
the fucking
question.
answer or what, bro? This is my why you, my 30-second answer at 3 a.m., right? So I say to people, when I speak at a conference, what I do is I generally close with this concept.
Yeah.
And the concept to try and invigorate mentally, emotionally, and spiritually other people to start to think about their why you. So what I do is I say to them, if I came to you at 3 a.m. in the morning and I kicked down the front door and I put a gun to your head and said, why you? And if the answer wasn't good enough, you were going to be dead. Could you give me a good enough answer that came from deep inside your soul, your heart, and your mind that it was good enough to convince someone not to kill you, right? And people go, and I always ask them, put up your hand if you think that's extreme, what I'm saying. And everyone puts up their hand. Put up your hand if you think it's extreme. Great, fantastic. So
Dan,
then
no
what
one
I
asked
do,
you.
then what I do is I remind them of, hey, this is a serious thing.
Sorry.
I'm trying to end on a fucking serious note.
Go.
Fucking you blokes, I tell you.
You blokes, he's the one laughing. I'm sweet.
Yeah,
You
you're throwing him
people,
under the
what do
bus.
you mean, you people?
Oh, no, so listen. So he goes, I say, if somebody puts a gun to you and they go, oh, that sounds extreme. I said, okay, in the 1930s and early 40s, it happened in Poland, Krakow. It happened to the Jews in the ghettos, right? Like, I've been there. I've been to Auschwitz. I've been to Birkenau. I've been to the concentration camps over there, right? In the 50s, it happened in Korea. In the 70s, it happened in Vietnam and Cambodia. Like, in Cambodia, I go to the killing fields every time I go there. And everyone always says to me, you've been there 10 years in a row. Why do you always go back to the killing fields? Because I go to them, if I have a bad day, like if I have a fight with somebody or have a bad day or somebody tells me about their problems, like my boyfriend cheated on me or something, I'm like, you know what, man? It's not real. It's not real because somebody walked up to someone in Cambodia, ripped their children from their arms, took them to a killing field and killed them just because they didn't know their YU, right? So it happened in the 80s in Serbia, Yugoslavia, Croatia. It happened in the 90s in the Middle East. And you know what's happening right now in Syria? Right? So, like, I look at that and I go, okay, what's Andrew Morello's YU? Andrew Morello's YU is Andrew Morello wants to make lots and lots of money to pay other people really, really well to do things he doesn't want to do so he can do more things he loves doing with the people that he loves.
Damn it. That's a great answer.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? And I get people come up to me and go, fuck, that's what I've been trying to articulate. And I say, you can have that, right? Because for me, I look at my father and I see, like, he worked literally 7 days a week for 50 years. And then I saw him next to my mother when my mother was passing away. He was holding her hand and he went to that stage of grief where he was bargaining and he was there sitting there going, he'd give away all his money to spend another year with my mum, right? And I looked at that and I got upset with him because I said, you know what, you should have done that. Like, you know, like, oh, I appreciate that he set us up for a better future and he's been a great role model and I understand that he came from a difficult, traumatized childhood. But I look at that and I go, you know what, like, you need to do that. You need to live your life. You need to practice present moment awareness. You need to embrace the uncertainty. But most of all, you need to fucking live the dream.
Nice. Well, look, to finish, I want to ask you one question that I ask almost every guest, but I've forgotten on a few. I won't forget for you.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Not a few, actually.
I have, yeah.
Just blame it on the
you did
concussion.
remind me.
Blame it on the
It's your
concussion.
job.
I get concussed.
I
I don't get
was
concussed.
trying to ask Josh last week, and you were just
Did
too
we?
interested on finding out how he didn't like you or why he liked you.
Was there a brother-brother
It was all
complex
about
going
him
on?
last week.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah. But no, we solved it in the podcast. Anyway, I can't. Anyway, was there ever a point in life you seem to have like a lot of success after success after success, but was there a point in life where you felt stuck? You know, this podcast is called Stuck in the Middle. This is about adversity and all that.
Yep.
Was there a point in life where you felt stuck between a rock and a hard place, or
Yeah.
stuck in the middle of something that was challenging?
Yeah, massively, right? So, like, and you've hit the nail on the head. Everyone always talks about the successes, and it's interesting because before you guys know me, but people that don't know you, they Google you, and they go, they go, oh, I scroll down to like the 10th page. There's all this good stuff. Like, look, we're trying to find the juicy stuff. Look, I think my biggest challenges have been, overcoming sort of sometimes the mental adversity around like where we grew up in Melbourne was, and my brother thinks that I've got a chip on my shoulder about it, but there was a reality, right? Like, there was definitely a division between like the ethnic people and the Anglo people. And even, when we went to the school reunion the other day, there was, for the first half, there was very much like the Anglos and the ethnics on this side. And then everyone had a few drinks and started mingling, right, after 20 years. But I think like the biggest, mindset adversities for me have been from the fact that, I've always had to find, I've had good parents, but I've always had to find a solution to problems, right? And so what ends up happening is a lot of times in life I've had felt like the pressure of that. And so what I've had to do is go and find ways to recalibrate for myself. And so like my biggest thing I try and find is by surrounding myself with really quality people. I'm a big believer that the meaning to life is the people we meet and what we create with them. And if I look at that, I go, okay, like all the difficult, challenging periods of my life, why have I been able to pull myself out of it and become the person I needed to become? It was because of the people that I surround myself with. And you two boys are part of that.
ELE. Everybody love everybody.
Everybody love
ELE.
everybody. Everybody love
Lots of
everybody.
love for you, Andrew. Lots of love, Andy.
Lots of love for you too.
You're a very impressive man, and I appreciate that I got to walk this little part of life so far with you. We
Great.
got to many journeys to come. I like being around you. You're a big energy, and I want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe you can rub off some positive energy on my mate Toby Eric. It's dark cloud all the time. Maybe
What?
it's like-
Where did this come from?
Hey, Toby, just because you moved to Cronulla to change your life, people don't change. Places don't change people.
people change people.
People change people.
People change places.
They do, but
I'm gonna make
people
Cronulla mad.
change people.
No, but on that,
Yeah.
as well as in my closing as well, I'm very proud of everything you've done. No, I know today wasn't about you; it was about me. But very proud of the career comeback. For those who don't know, I organised a surprise for you in Wagga, and it was just I'm very proud to see you come back. You're still fighting fear. You're just big. Like you seem to grow as you talk, which is weird, but somehow, and your head's getting bigger too. I think,
Yeah.
not metaphorically. I mean like physically.
The chin stops.
Yeah, the chin stops.
which
Okay.
is good. So
Done.
the head's,
started to grow.
the head's pulsating.
And Toby, I still think you're the people's choice, mate. Like, you're just a good guy. You're fucking hilarious. We've had a lot of good adventures and more to come. So thank you so much for having me, boys. And hopefully this is just the beginning of all our future adventures.
Hopefully.
so.
Everyone, thank you for listening to the podcast. Please like, subscribe, comment. We had 0 actually fan interaction this week. So guys, please write us in some more DMs, some would you rathers, anything funny. Please reach out and peace out. We love you from Stuck in the Middle.
Love you all. Yeah.
Peace. Peace.
Yeah.
Peace. Peace.
Yeah.
Peace. Peace.
This podcast was made by Afternoon Sport Group.